Welcome to Freight Logics Hub, your authentic history podcast on the evolution of freight logistics in Kenya and East Africa. I am George Kidenda, Managing Director of Freight Logics Kenya Limited and a trustee at the Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association, KIFWA. Modern logistics is the lifeline of today's world, where supply chain resilience and agility are more critical than ever. With consumers expecting timely delivery of everything from clothing to life-saving medicine, our region's value chains depend heavily on the efficient movement of goods. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area aims to significantly boost intra-Africa trade and lift millions out of poverty, while e-commerce continues to grow rapidly, with digital buyers in Africa projected to reach 520 million by the year 2025. Amid the challenges of digitalization, climate crisis, and political instability, how has the logistics industry in Kenya and East Africa evolved to meet these demands? Join me every week as we explore the history of freight logistics through the stories of the trailblazers who have shaped the industry. In this first episode, I will share my own journey into becoming a clearing and forwarding agent. I never imagined that I would work in the logistics sector. As a student of marketing at the University of Nairobi, the marketing of services was given very little time. In fact, we did less than a semester on the marketing of services. Most of the marketing talk was about marketing of physical goods. As the final year drew towards its end, many of my fellow students had sent out their letters of application for jobs, and many were receiving letters inviting them for interviews. I had not sent one at all. One thing that I believed in was that I was training to be a manager, and therefore throughout my life in the university I dressed myself like a manager. Many of my fellow students, I liked to dress in what was being given free by the marketing organizations. You'll find someone wearing to class an Omo t-shirt, a Blue Band t-shirt, a Colgate t-shirt. I said that I would not wear t-shirts to class. So one day when we were doing our final semester, a gentleman came to the 5th floor in the Department of Commerce, and he was looking for people to interview. I happened to be working on those floors, and when he called, while my colleagues ran back to the halls to go and change, I was already dressed and ready to attend that interview. I was interviewed and got shortlisted. I was called for a second interview, and within 1 week I was employed. I happened to have been working part-time on attachment at the Commercial Bank of Africa as part of the ISEC students program. So when I got the letter of appointment, I was actually working on a Vera Street. An attachment is a cashier. The letter indicated that the office that I was going to was at City House. I had never known where City House was, and therefore it took me quite a long time. There were no mobile phones at that time. So I was being called at the bank and being given directions to where City House is. By the nature of the of the design of the bank and where I was sitting as a bank teller, I was looking outward and I was looking for the building to be right opposite me. It took quite a bit of time for me to realize that the office that I was being called to report to was right across the road from me. So I crossed over and I met Mr. Ian Rush, the gentleman who had interviewed me at the university. But this time, the general manager of the company had also traveled from Mombasa to Nairobi. This is the late Charles Obinju, a man to whom I owe a lot for my development in this career. We were interviewed. We were 3 students that were taken from the university to join this group of companies that included Mackenzie Maritime Forwarders, and Leopold Walford Shipping. I joined Leopold Walford Shipping and remained in Nairobi, and my 2 other colleagues joined Maritime Forwarders and Mackenzie Maritime and moved down to Mombasa. Starting off to market services was quite a challenge for me. When we were taught to market the goods, we could display the goods. Now I was marketing an intangible. Furthermore, it is something that we had never been taught. No one had talked to us about shipping, about transport, about what I came to learn later on is clearing and forwarding, customs processing. I'd never heard about those things. I remember staying there for almost a month. Then one day, Mr. Ian Rush walked over to my desk and said, "George, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm still trying to find someone that I could sell this service to." He said, "You have spent a long time in the university. You must be having friends working out there. You go out and visit them." So I started going out. I started calling my friends who were out there working. It was not easy. Number one, I did not understand the language that was being used. The terminologies that were there were things that we had never been taught at the university. No one had referred to the currency adjustment factor. No one had talked to me about cargo being carried according to measurements, according to weight. In fact, I didn't even know the process of taking out shipments. I knew that there were ships that were coming to Mombasa, but the process of taking out that shipment from the vessel to the final consignee is something that I didn't know anything about. So I kept going out, and it's my personality that I like to confess my sins. So whenever I went out, and the people that I was dealing with were experts in their areas, as I tried to sell air freight or sea freight, they would bring in these terminologies. And I would confess that really I do not know, but let me take down my notes, and I will then go back and get back to you. So I would go back and talk with the clerks who are in the office. I remember Joseph Karanja, Cyrus Mugwe. They would explain to me what the currency adjustment factor is. They would explain to me how the processes at customs and everything else. Then I would write down these notes and I would go back, explain those things and give a quotation. It took me almost a year to get my first sale. And I really thank God that my employers were very lenient with me. I don't think that I would have survived in today's environment. But I remember very well the first sale that I made. It was at Chloride Exide. And the gentleman who gave me that business is someone that I really value again. I really value again in my life. His name was Simon Petit. He gave me the first shipment. And for many years, I handled the Chloride Exide account. In fact, I even went and visited their offices in the UK. After that, I was able to get Trigger Chemicals. I was able to get General Motors and many other companies. Of course, I was also getting some sales leads from our head office in the UK and the network. So slowly by slowly, I managed to find my way into this sector, now knowing the terminologies, and also because of the persistence, creating some friendship with those who are in the industry. And again, being able to deliver, because clients want to be safe when they give you business. So I made it a point that I would really follow up with our team whenever I was given a consignment to bring. We are getting consignment from across Europe, from as far as Brazil and Argentina, from South Africa, from Japan, because Leopold Walford was a worldwide network. I remember after that I was given the opportunity to travel to UK to visit the head office. It was quite an experience, I thank God. I learned a lot from my bosses there, Keith Nethercott, and all those who were there. But it also gave me a very unique, very unique opportunity. In those days, most of Kenya's trade was with Britain and the British companies. In fact, most of the shipping was done by the British shipping lines. So when I went over to UK, I listed all the people that had been communicating with on telex. In those days, the fax machine had not arrived. So I was able to visit Reckitt and Coleman. I was able to visit Glaxo. I was able to visit Imperial Chemicals and many other organizations, and I created a very good relationship with the contact people on the other side. I knew exactly what they wanted, and so whenever we were given business, I ensured that we met those requirements. Of course, I also had good relations with the people on this other side. So as time moved on, I was eventually promoted to be a commercial manager. But by that time, some changes had taken place in the group. Leopold Walford had sold his business to Heart Express, the current NSB. So as I was promoted, I was moved to the subsidiary company Maritime Forwarders to become the commercial manager based here in Nairobi. It was a new environment again because as Leopold Wolford, my job was to bring the consignments by air and by sea into Nairobi, into Mombasa. And then Maritime Forwarders would do the clearance. I would not be involved in the customs clearance. Now I was getting involved. And then I found it was even more challenging now. Being in Nairobi put me in a very precarious situation. I would sell and give promises on time and delivery of goods. But that was being controlled in Mombasa. And the reports that I would give were reports that were passed on to me by the operations team in Mombasa. And in many instances, they were wrong. I recall one time a gentleman from UNEP was importing a brand new car and wanted to go on holiday with it. Coming to my office and asking when that car would be delivered. I called Mombasa and they gave me when to be delivered. That was like 5 days later. 10 days later, that car had not been delivered. And the time was getting very close to the time to go on safari. I remember the gentleman coming to my office and telling me to my face that, Mr. Kirenda, I can shoot you dead. I can shoot you dead if you do not clear and deliver that car. Because I had to plead for my life and call Mombasa and impress on them to be able to deliver. Give me a definite date by which date the car had been helped. Of course, it was delivered. But I can never forget that instance. It would influence my decisions in the future.
Welcome to FreightLogix Kenya Limited. Our mission is to pioneer advanced yet appropriately scaled logistics operations across East and Central Africa. We envision becoming the premier choice for clients seeking top-tier multimodal logistics services in the region. Guided by Christian and professional standards, we uphold integrity and excellence, ensuring our customers receive the highest quality products and services while maintaining our esteemed reputation. With our 60-plus years of cumulative experience in intermodal transport logistics, we specialize in clearing and forwarding, warehousing, procurement, shipping, and airline management. Our team is skilled in customs procedures, freight logistics, and international trade facilitation. We have a track record of driving business growth, managing HR, and implementing efficient work systems. FreightLogix Kenya Limited is your premier partner for seamless transportation solutions in East Africa. With expertise in air, sea, and road freight, we offer reliable and efficient global delivery services. Our robust network ensures timely and cost-effective shipments worldwide. We also provide customizable road freight solutions, including hazardous cargo transport. Additionally, our warehousing and distribution capabilities optimize proximity and accessibility. For all your logistics needs, connect with FreightLogix Kenya Limited today. Whether you require reliable air, sea, or road freight solutions, or top-tier warehousing services, visit www.freightlogix.co.ke or call us on 254-734-13831 to explore our comprehensive offerings. Stay updated and engaged by connecting with us on LinkedIn. Let's optimize your supply chain together.
You are working as the commercial manager of Maritime Freight Limited. I was approached by the managing director of Kenya Ports Authority, Engineer Philip Mukundi, that there was a new company that was being started and they were looking for a commercial manager. I said I'm quite happy where I am at Maritime Forwarders, but I don't mind meeting those who wanted to form the company. He invited me to lunch, and I met with Mr. Joshua Kulei, who was then the personal assistant to His Excellency, the former president and the late president of Kenya, President Daniel Arap Moi. He indicated that they wanted to start a clearing and forward company, and they wanted a commercial manager to do the marketing. We discussed what I was doing, explained my role and everything else. He was happy with the role that I was playing, and he invited me to come to Mombasa, to go to Mombasa with him. This was in the month of August 1985, and August was the time when Mombasa show was being held. So he invited me to come and just see the setup, the offices that they have built, that they have set up, and also to be able to show him exactly what will be required. I said, okay, I will come, but I need to ask for permission because my head office is in Mombasa and I cannot be seen to be taking part in a competing office. So I informed my general manager, Mr. Charles Obinju, who in turn informed my MD, Mr. PJ Shah. I went down to Mombasa and met the team that was there. There were quite a number of things that were missing. Now, the team that had been recruited were mostly clerical and were not even very conversant with giving that quotations, giving that information. So I had to explain to them what is required. I had to explain to them how things would work in a clearing and forwarding company. His Excellency the President chose to visit that office on a Thursday afternoon. Everyone in Mombasa knew that that office had been visited. When he came in, Mr. Kulei decided that I should be the one to take him around. And he introduced me as the general manager of the company. I was surprised because I'd indicated that I was not going to take up that employment. But I took them around. Everyone came with His Excellency to that office. Vice President George Saitoti was there. Minister for Industries, Professor Ngeri was there. The chairman Transnational Bank, Jared Kangwana, was there. The Minister for Trade, Mr. Biwott, was there. Almost everyone who was key in the government was there. Mr. Kumi was there as the managing director of Kenya Ports Authority. Ezekiel Yobi was there as the Permanent Secretary, Office of the President. It was full. And here I was being introduced as the general manager. At the end of the day, the word had spread far and wide. So I went back to the general manager, my general manager, Mr. Tasso Binju, and said, this is what has transpired. Mr. Joshua Clay declared that I'm the general manager of Signal Freight Company. To the president, in the presence of all these people. What do I do? I don't feel safe working in a political company. I'm happy where I am. I've worked here for the last 5 years, and I think I have a good future here. I'm hesitant to take up this offer. Mr. Bindu called me and said, George, I want you to listen. You are a young person. You have a future for you in this country. You dare not turn down a job that is offered you by the head of state. We value your services here. But we also do not want to stand on the way between His Excellency the President and your engagement in his office. So I'm going to talk to PJ, and we will be happy to release you. Now I was in a predicament. How am I going to tell my family that I've taken up a more or less a political appointment? Because I was going to be at the mercy of all those people who work around the president. And any mistake could spoil my career. So I called my wife, my darling most, informed her of this. She was also hesitant, just like me. Then I called my late father. And we narrated to him. We are narrating this while I'm sitting in Mombasa, there in Nairobi. That this is what has occurred, this is what is taking place. And he agreed with Mr. Binju that it would be unwise for me, if I want to play any role in future in this nation, to be seen to turn down an offer from the president. We got convinced, and now we had to prepare for a change. I was asked where I wanted to set up my office. And knowing the sensitivity of that office in relationship to the ownership, I dared not make any mistake. And considering that most of the customs clearing was being done in Mombasa, even though I had avoided taking up office in Mombasa right from the beginning, and borrowing from the experience that I had with the gentleman from the UNEP, I chose to have the office set up in Mombasa. So we moved as a family to settle in Mombasa so that I could be near to all the activities. I would be able to walk into the port if there was any crisis, if there's any agency that I needed to be. I would not be handing things on phone. If it was necessary, I would be able to walk down to the port or walk down to customs to clarify any issues and ensure that there was a smooth running of the company. So I moved down to Mombasa. I stayed there from 1985 till the year 2002. It's when I left Mombasa.